All right, my friends, I think tonight just a good reminder of where the Trailblazers are in the pecking order. If you look across the NBA landscape, you've got the cream of the crop teams like the Milwaukee Bucks, who are legitimate title contenders. And then you've got the Portland Trailblazers, who have a lot of work to do as an organization if they hope to get to that level. And we saw it tonight with the Bucks. They've got length, they've got star power, they play defense, and they get after it on both ends of the floor. The Milwaukee Bucks came into town tonight and dominated the Portland Trailblazers every which way. 127-108 is your final, and they had multiple guys step up to make a contribution. I thought going into the game tonight that Giannis could have 50 and 20 if he so desired, but the way the game played out, he didn't need that. He didn't need that at all. In 22 minutes of action tonight, Giannis with 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists. 22 minutes of work, and he puts up a near triple-double. They got a team-high 27 points from Brook Lopez, and they just dominated the game. And it was really about everything we thought it would be. Their length overwhelming the Portland Trailblazers as the Bucks tonight finished the game with a 55-28 edge in rebounding, and they showcased their smothering defense tonight. They limited the Blazers to just 40.7% shooting from the field and an abysmal 9 of 36 from three-point range. The Blazers winless on the year when they failed to hit at least 10 threes, and the Bucks tonight, showcasing part of what makes them a legitimate championship contender. Now, I want to highlight this again because I think it's critical. Remember, if you're not in the top 10 in defensive rating, you have no prayer of winning an NBA championship. It just doesn't happen. The only team that's fallen outside of the top 10 in defensive rating in the last 23 years were the Lakers. I think it was 2001 when they had Shaq and Kobe. That's it. Every other team is right up near the top. And if you look at the teams right now at the top, Memphis, Cleveland, and guess what? The Milwaukee Bucks are third. Other teams of note, Boston fifth, Philadelphia sixth, New Orleans seventh, Phoenix eighth, Minnesota, Oklahoma City. The majority of the teams in the top 10 are teams with better records. Teams that win the majority of their games. That's why I'm a little bit suspect on Denver right now. They're improving defensively from where they were earlier in the year, and they're atop the Western Conference, but they're still middle of the pack at 16. But the Trailblazers, just not a versatile team. They went into the game tonight 27th in the NBA in defensive rating. And this goes back to what Lamar Hurd was talking about, a few nights ago, that when everything's going well and they're making their threes and Dame's in a groove, you got Ant making shots, things usually go pretty well for this team. But in order to get to that next level, you've got to be able to find a way to manufacture points and to be aggressive defensively and find ways to, create opportunities through your pressure. And Portland just doesn't have the capabilities to do that right now. They lack talent on the roster. They obviously lack length. I mean, that's pretty obvious. And when you're going out there against a team like Milwaukee and you've got a lineup that features Drew Eubanks and Josh Hart to go along with Damon Ant, you're not going to have much of a chance. Tonight, the Milwaukee bench outscored the Portland bench 42-22. I mean, just across the board. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's no shame in this loss. Milwaukee is on a completely different level than the Portland Trailblazers. They're not in the same stratosphere right now. So I warned you before the game and said, hey, this is going to be one of those nights. So you've got to prepare yourself, and that's why I said that. But I like the way Milwaukee plays, man. They get after it defensively. They share the basketball. Unselfish team. Budenholzer's done a good job with that group, and they're one of those teams where it's just a matter of health, right? Last year, they were without Middleton. It cost them in the Boston series, but they've got him back. They've won 8 straight ball games, and now if they stay healthy and they continue this push towards the postseason, they are championship worthy and are capable of winning another championship. And you can see the advantage of having a guy like Giannis out there with 24, 13, and 9 or 8 in just 22 minutes of action. He's unstoppable. He's got length. And then on top of that, they throw out there Brook Lopez, for crying out loud. They were playing volleyball out there against the Trailblazers lineup. It was just ridiculous. Oh, yeah. 503-248 620 is your telephone number. Now Portland will get a day off. The Golden State Warriors coming to town on Wednesday. No Steph, but I will say that they're not a slouch, as you know. And tonight, Klay Thompson had 12 threes, and they dropped 141 points in a victory over the Thunder. 42 points for Klay Thompson, 12 threes. Warriors with the victory. They're now 28-26. With the loss, Portland 26-28. The Bucks right now at 37-17. Chris Burkhardt and Chad doing with you. Fifth quarter here on 620 Rip City Radio. Let's go out to the phones. We'll start in Vancouver with Kenny. Kenny, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah, good call, Chad. When I watch Giannis, it reminds me of I used to, when I was in the service, my next door friend in the next room, he was a 6'5" guy, and we would play basically basketball on his Nerf hoop that was hooked to the top of the door, and he would shoot down at the hoop, and that's the way Giannis looks. His shot is so flat, but it's money because it's like he's shooting on a Nerf hoop.
He's a freak, man. He's so physically dominant. He's so long. He's a great athlete, and he's improved all aspects of his game with each passing year that he's in the NBA. I've tried to think of guys over the last 35 years I've been watching the NBA in depth. I can't even think of a guy that he reminds me of because he's so unique with his body type and his skill set.
Yeah, no doubt. His muscularity for a guy his size, I mean, he's built. He has the last guy I saw with arms that sculpted, I think wasn't it Kevin Willis with the Atlanta Hawks back in the day?
Kevin Willis had incredible shoulders and guns. He looked like a bodybuilder playing hoop.
Yes, exactly. And Giannis in a lot of ways does too, but Giannis has all the grace and everything. It's just amazing. And then they've got Andre the Giant in the middle. Mr. 80% from the field, Brook Lopez, literally Andre the Giant. It must have been when those two guys are next to each other, you got Damon Ant and, whoever else trying to drive in there. And it's literally like it's like they're going against a CYO a league team because they're just too small. And the Blazers don't have the size. And, I will say this, I don't think there's any team in the league right now is going to beat the Bucks. Not Boston. Boston doesn't play good enough defense either. They're more of an offensive team. And there's a lot of teams out there that like you see in the West, all through the West, this is a special team. This Bucks team is built with uncommon defense. It's ridiculous. They just have the right mesh of players, and congratulations to them.
You're right. They're great. They're constructed to win a championship, and I fully expect them to do that. There's no doubt about it. All right, Kenny, I appreciate it. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. 127-108, your final. I really don't know how much hardcore analysis you want in regards to the game tonight. They were overmatched going in. They didn't have Nurk. Size, we knew was going to be an issue. Rebounding was going to be an issue. And then just finding ways to get to your offense and get good looks against the Milwaukee Bucks' length and defense and the way they come at you. I mean, they execute so well. And you can see now with their entire crew, with the different guys they have, they've done a good job of putting a roster together. Chris and I were talking about that during the game. Love their roster. Heck, even Pat Connaughton, the way that he complements their big guys inside. That's a darn good basketball team. Burkhardt, what were some of the things that jumped out at you tonight with the Blazers' domination of the Bucks?
You mean the Bucks' domination of the Blazers?
Oh, that's right. Did I say that wrong?
Yeah, no.
My fantasies are seeping out on air.
Right?
I want it to happen. I wanted them to dominate the Bucks, but it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, we all want it to happen. I think nothing really stood out or jumped out because it was exactly how we kind of thought that one would play out. I think what does kind of catch your eye, though, is the fact that if you think the Blazers are one piece away or two pieces away from being a true contender, that's a true contender. That's who they're dealing with. And you saw right now that the gap between Portland and them, it's the Grand Canyon, right? Now, Nurk would help that because of the rebounding that they did lose out on tonight. That's an absolute fact. but still, that's a giant chasm between the two.
Okay, you bring up a very good point. I want to emphasize that right now. This is important for all Blazer fans out there to understand. Never be satisfied with this mediocrity that the franchise is stuck in, all right? Don't buy the line. Don't buy all the nonsense. Here's the truth. What you saw tonight was the separation between a legit contender in Milwaukee and where Portland sits right now, 11th in the Western Conference. Now, if you look at the standings right now, the Blazers are only 3.5 games behind the Clippers, who are currently in 4th place in the Western Conference. So, according to the standings and the simple math, it's like, oh, Portland's just 3.5 games back of 4th. But the gap is much wider than that, right? Look at the teams that are ahead of Portland right now in the Western Conference. Utah, New Orleans, Minnesota. None of those teams are exceptional. Golden State, significantly better, not record-wise, but once they start to crank it up and turn it on, that they can compete with anybody in the Western Conference and are still a threat to come out of the West as the defending champs. Phoenix in 6th. They're starting to pick up some steam and play good basketball. They've won 8 of their last 10 ball games. Dallas now with the addition of Kyrie. The Clippers, the Kings, who are surprisingly playing good basketball. And then you got the 2 teams at the top in Memphis and Denver. What I'm trying to say is, math-wise, yes, they're only 3.5 games out of 4th. But there are multiple teams in the Western Conference, only in the West, they're ahead of where Portland's at right now. So we got to continue to demand the best from our franchise. Pressure on the front office to demand nothing less than continue to pushing forward to doing whatever it takes to be, at some point, a contender. I mean, again, I look at things through a more narrow lens. I want my franchises to be in a position to win championships. And the truth is, the Portland Trail Blazers have not been a legit title contender in 23 years. That's too long of a gap. They've got to be better than that, and that's why they've got to continue to look and maneuver and do whatever is necessary to get back. Because you look at the Bucks, it's like, okay, that's a title contender. And who are the legit title contenders this year? I think in the Eastern Conference, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly. And in the Western Conference, I'm not really sure. A group of teams. Denver, I think you can put on the list. Memphis. The Clippers, if they're healthy. Phoenix, Golden State. Who else? That's probably the list right there of legit teams that could come out of the conference. Let's go back to the phones. Your final score tonight from Moda Center, the Bucks over the Trailblazers, 127-108. 24 points, 13 boards, 8 assists for Giannis in 22 minutes. And Brook Lopez had a team high 27 points. Dame with 28 to lead the way for Portland, but he was just 7 of 18 from the floor. And the Blazers, in abysmal, they connected on just 9 threes. They were just 25% from downtown and are winless on the year when they failed to hit 10 threes. Let's go to Victor in Turkey. Victor, welcome back to the 5th quarter, buddy.
Hi, my brother. Well, I tell you, I don't want to kind of annoy you with annoy you and Chris with the name of Aunt Simon. I want to talk about him because I tell you the reason is I was thinking about what Godfather told you a couple of weeks ago on the radio when he was talking to you. He said, well, all these players, NBA players, they have guaranteed money. It's like a business. They go to work, they come home like everybody else, and they go to other team and they have work. So in other words, if the someone be traded, go to another team, he's going to make maybe 100 million or more. But the Godfather said the only people get hurt are the fans. So I was thinking about me. I said, why I talk so much about Ant, because I'm not smart enough like Godfather. Then when I was sleeping, I said, and then when you give me your phone number, I said, well, the reason because I'm hurting myself because I support this guy, and then I always think about him. That means I'm hurting myself because he's not thinking about me. He's going to go to another team and so on and so forth. So I won't talk about him because it's going to hurt myself. So I won't talk about him much longer. But about this team, about this game, I have a lot of questions, This is interesting because we had three players in the Milwaukee that they were ex-Blazer. Matthew and Cunningham and Joe Ingles. I want you later on talking about the Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles was on the Blazer, and I think he scored like four 3-pointers. He was shooting the balls and he was scoring. So the Blazer lost him. I don't know why. That was one of the questions. The other one is, the only decent player, Chad, that the Blazer had from overseas, from other countries, as you know, it was Sabonis. You mentioned many times. The only decent player we had from overseas was 25 years ago, was Arvidas Sabonis. We had a couple of medium players from Spain, Rudy Fernandez from Spain, and Nicola Batum from France. But they weren't really excellent.
Oh, don't forget about Drazen Petrovic. Don't forget about Drazen.
Oh, who was that? When was that?
Drazen was back in the late 80s, early 90s. He was a terrific scorer, shooter from overseas.
Oh, okay, I forgot about that. But what I'm saying is there are still a lot of players overseas, I mean, in the past 10 years, Blazer only got, Nurkic. Nurkic is a mediocre, United States mediocre player. But, this freak, this Greek freak from, he's originally from Africa, but he went to Greece. But what I'm saying is, in Turkey, believe me, in Turkey, $1 is like $1 is like 20, 30 times more buying power. In overseas, if you want to spend money in overseas, there are a lot of players that want to come here, So I don't know. That's one concept because Luka is from Slovakia, Dirk Nowitzki from Germany. All these good players in the recent years, they went to other teams. They didn't come to Portland. I don't know, but what I'm saying that one of the things that maybe the Blazers as well, maybe there are some other players, but that's one of the things because the Blazers don't have a tall, big players. They don't have a tall players, But hopefully, maybe they get something in trade-off in the new, on Friday or something. They get the new players, the bigger players. That's my concern.
Yeah, they definitely need some size, my friend. And I'm not sure what the fetish has been with small players, but yeah, size is an issue. And, the Blazers know that. And obviously, when they made the decision to draft Shaedon Sharpe, because they valued him with that number 7 pick in the draft last year, they knew that they were going to sacrifice the starting lineup. They didn't make the move to trade and bring in a vet to play the small forward. So you draft Shaedon Sharpe, which means you got Josh Hart starting at the 3. And this team does need more length. And we've seen that now. The teams they have struggled against the most throughout the course of the year have been teams with size. Chicago gave them a lot of fits with their size. Washington, for the first half, gave them fits with their size. Orlando's got length. We saw the Trailblazers struggle against them, and that's the problem. A lot of teams in the league got length. Toronto's giving them issues. I mean, just take a look around. Size is definitely a factor. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. We'll come back on fifth quarter and continue to react and take your calls. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Chad in Rip City. At Chad in Rip City. Next game will come up on Wednesday at Moda Center. The Golden State Warriors are going to be in town. Tip-off is at 7. I'll have game day starting at 4:30. Final score tonight from Moda. The Milwaukee Bucks take out the Portland Trailblazers in dominant fashion, 127-108. You've got the fifth quarter on 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for the Nothing But Net Shot of the Night here on the fifth quarter, 620 Rip City Radio. The Nothing But Net Shot of the Night is brought to you by Oregon Dungeness Crab. Sustainably harvested, uniquely delicious, and always wild. Oregon Dungeness Crab always sounds good for dinner.
Damn near center court, picks up his dribble, and he's in no man's land, so he's going to take a half-court shot. Buries it from center court. He's Logo Lillard for a reason. 56-44. Dame's first made three of the game.
You know, I'm trying to find reasons to appreciate Gary Payton II, but I can't. Another nothing night for GP2. 16 minutes of action, had a couple of points, and really no impact. I can't believe that this guy got a full mid-level, frustrated his franchise by waiting forever to come back and actually play a game for the Trailblazers. And now I'm trying to figure out how the guy fits. Hard to have him on the floor because you're undersized, especially at the end of games when you need Damon Ant on the floor to be able to make shots to win games because that's your best offense. You don't want to roll three guys out there like that who are undersized because you're at a disadvantage. He can defend, and he's a great defender, but he doesn't look to score. I just don't know. I'm not really convinced that that was a good signing. I'll say it again. Of all the things that Cronin has done, a lot of people had frustrations around the trade deadline last year about, the protections on the pick. The trade deadline didn't frustrate me at all. Giving a full mid-level during the summertime to Gary Payton II for a team that did not need another small guard, but length, it just doesn't work. Maybe they got plans moving into the future, but I'm just not seeing it so far with GP2. 127 to 108 the final. My man Robert reached out, and I was trying to think of a comparison, someone that reminds me remotely of Giannis. And my guy Robert said, hey, what about Sean Kemp in the Sonics era? Very skilled and long and very explosive. I would agree. There's some similarities there. Even Spencer Haywood in his prime. The power and grace combined. Yeah, Giannis is a freak, man. Just his wingspan, he's getting better with his shot, but the way he can just get to his spot, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Dominant in the paint. Gets to the foul line, great defender. I mean, you can lean on him for big minutes, and tonight, near triple-double in just 22 minutes of action. That's what he does. Let's go back out to the phones, 503-248-0620. Let's go out to Josh Baker. Josh, welcome to the fifth quarter.
How's it going?
Very well. What's up?
Hey, I just want to say, still go Blazers, even in a loss. I love this team. It just sucks that we're not playing how we did at the start of the season. But I know we'll get back to it, and I really do hope that at least. And I'm going to pitch it over to one of the Thrupples, Monica.
Yeah, I really think that it would be nice to see defense like we did in the first 15 games.
True, yes.
Yeah, the defense, there's been a lot of slippage on that end of the floor. In fact, going into tonight, just 27th in the NBA in defensive rating. So you're right, the defense has not been there. No question.
True. Other than that, I think it's going to be a tough game Wednesday. 3 games this week. My birthday on Sunday, and then 2 hard games Monday and Tuesday. I mean, this is the wild west of the craziness of the NBA.
It is. For sure. Hey, happy birthday, man. Happy early birthday, Josh.
Thank you so much. I will say, coming out of Purple has been kind of crazy. But that's one of the beauties is that, Monica's idea was throwing me this party, and between my 2 M&Ms, and I know people out there love the M&M, it is an amazing thing what we're going through, and no matter if you guys are kind of hating on this or loving this, I love every single one of you guys, and I respect you guys, and I know Monica does and Megan does too. I'll let Monica speak on that too, though.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been nice meeting all of y'all, and we're here for the long run.
We started on TikTok, our throuple TikTok as well, and already on TikTok, not even with this group. We've had a lot of questions. So, Chad, I'm going to let you ask 3 questions, 1 from you and 2 from YouTube.
No, I can't do that. I appreciate that, Josh, but we should probably steer this back a little bit towards the hoop. I appreciate you calling in, but I do not want to take questions because I can't trust people in the chat to provide good questions on your situation there with the throuple. That's all. I mean, don't you think that questions from the YouTube chat could be a little bit dangerous, Burkhardt?
Questions from anywhere can be a little bit dangerous. But to be fair, they can be a little bit dangerous on any topic. I mean, what did we dive into in the pregame show? Nicknames. It got a little dangerous.
Thanks, Trav. Appreciate that.
Jeremy Grant hits the thruple. Nice.
Up and in.
Get on up for the downstroke. Let's go. Let's go. Up and in.
I guess the good news is, hey, the good news is with the thruple, I'm guessing you get double the gifts for your birthday, right?
Better get at least 1 pack of M&Ms on this deal too. Endorsement deals coming in.
Oh my goodness, this is a waste of humanity's time.
Yeah.
That ball's foul, Jim.
By 10 feet.
Yeah, that ball. What?
By 10.
Are they asking for? Are Cincinnati asking for that to be looked at? Is that the deal?
All right, let's get you up to date around the association.
The 5th quarter on 620 Rip City Radio presents the Scoreboard Report, brought to you by the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill, A-Linnae's ultimate venue for sports fans every Monday night, featuring beer and wing specials and more.
All right, let's take a look at the night in the association. Starting out in Detroit, where the Celtics top the Pistons 111-99. Jason Tatum, 34 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. In Washington, Cavaliers over the Wizards 114-91. Jared Allen, 23 points and 8 boards. Love that guy's game. In Brooklyn, the Clippers over the Nets 124-116. Paul George with 29 points. In the loss, Cam Thomas with 47. Oh, my goodness gracious. There have been a lot of guys going off for big numbers this season in the NBA. Elsewhere, the Bulls over the Spurs 128-104 in Chicago. San Antonio focused on one thing, Victor Wembanyama. Andre Drummond, 21 points, 15 boards, and 3 steals. In Houston, the Sacramento Kings put 140 up on the board, topped the Rockets 140-120. Elsewhere, the Mavericks over the Jazz 124-111 in Utah. And down in San Francisco, the Warriors, who will be in town on Wednesday night, topped the Thunder 141-114. They improved to 28 and 26. OKC now just 25 and 28. And of course the Bucks over the Trailblazers 127-108. Dame 28 to lead the way for Portland, and Giannis had 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists for the Bucks. We're now 37 and 13. And if we take a quick look at the standings in the Eastern Conference, Boston atop the way at 38 and 16, a game in front of Milwaukee. Philadelphia in third. They're 3 games back. Cleveland is fourth, 5 games back, followed by Brooklyn and Miami, 7 through 10 in the East. New York, Atlanta, Chicago, and Indiana. In the Western Conference, Denver is atop the West at 37 and 17, 4.5 games in front of Memphis. Sacramento third, 6.5 back at 30 and 23, coming off their win tonight. Clippers are 7.5 back in fourth at 31 and 26. Dallas and Phoenix are evened up at 29 and 26 at 5 and 6, 7 through 10 in the West right now. Warriors, Timberwolves, Pelicans, and Jazz. The Blazers sit just behind Utah in 11th right now, 11 games back of Denver, who's in the top spot in the Western Conference. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the 5th quarter. We're going to hear from Chauncey Billups in the Coach's Corner. 503-248-0620. Bucks get the win tonight. No shame in this loss. Overmatched and undersized against the Bucks is a bad combination. Now you move on and get ready for the Warriors. No Steph Curry. Should be a fun game on Wednesday night at Motor Center. Tip-off at 7. We'll have game day at 4:30.
It's time for the Portland Trailblazers Drive of the Night here on the fifth quarter, hosted by Chad Dewing, 620 Rip City Radio. Drive of the Night is brought to you by Dick's Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Wilsonville, ready to compete with the lowest prices in town.
Dave gives it up to Simons. He penetrates and drives, fakes Holiday and puts it home.
He cabbage patched Drew Holiday.
All right, fifth quarter, where the Bucks take out the Trailblazers 127 to 108. Giannis, 24 points, 13 boards, 8 assists. Brook Lopez with 27 to lead the way for Milwaukee points-wise. Dame had 28, 21, and 5 assists from Anthony Simons. Portland now 26 and 28 on the year. And I just did the math. 16 and 24 overall since their 10 and 4 start. Yeah. 27th in the league in defensive rating. Yeah. A lot of angst with this group right now. But we do have the deadline coming up on Thursday, which is what we're all excited about, at least thinking about. And the cool thing is we're on the clock now. So, like, I did it this morning. I don't know about you, but the first thing I did when I woke up, after I was wondering why my dog was staring at me in a very creepy way, it's like, hey, puppy shots, back off, man. I looked right at my phone. I was like, has anything else gone down? Nope. And that's what I'm going to be doing. Checking, want to see what the Blazers are going to do and who they're going to be able to get for Josh Hart and whoever else they may move out. And we'll see what happens. And it's very possible, too, that, you know, they could be showing a little bit of restraint and waiting till summertime when some other things open up to be able to go out there and make some things happen. Let's go out to Dan in Beaverton, my man. Hey, Dan, what's going on?
Hey, Chad. How are you doing?
Very well. Tonight's one of those nights where maybe you're not so happy that you have Root Sports and Blazer games when you got to sit through a 127-108 butt whooping. It's tough.
Yeah, I kind of tuned it out in the third quarter when the threes weren't falling.
Yeah, no question. And Giannis, but at least you got to see Giannis. That guy is so long, so athletic, and so good. What a heck of a basketball player he is.
I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but, I don't think the Blazers are going to make the playoffs.
Well, I would say that right now there's a possibility that's not going to happen. I mean, if you look at the standings in the Western Conference, it's kind of the argument I was making a while ago where you look at the teams, because 1 through 8 are going to make the playoffs, but you look at 1 through 8, I mean, you could definitely make a case that Portland's not going to be able to crack the code and get into one of the top 8 spots to be a playoff team. That's possible, and if that happens, then that's okay because they'll fall into the lottery and have a chance to hopefully get a good draft pick.
So that's when we start tanking, right?
Well, I mean, they may not have to tank. I don't think they're going to tank this year like they did last year, but they may not have to tank to just make the lottery. If they just keep playing the way they're playing right now, they might naturally slide in.
Yeah, I mean, we get flashes of brilliance like they won 3 games. They beat Memphis. I mean, some of that stuff makes us really hopeful, but then they just play like they did tonight where nothing was falling. I mean, when the 3-point and then Milwaukee was making them all. Milwaukee stepped back. Oh, here's another 3 for you guys.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I guess the way I looked at the game tonight is that Milwaukee is a legit title contender. They're just in a different stratosphere, a different level than Portland right now. So I didn't expect them to win the game or be competitive tonight because of what they were up against, especially without Nurk and the lack of size. It was just a bad matchup for them. Not much you can do.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Chad.
Well, I got it. You appreciate it, Dan. There's Dan at Beaverton hanging out. I mean, he lost interest, I think he said, in the third quarter when the threes weren't falling. I don't think they were falling in the first, second, third, or fourth tonight. Just 9 threes for the Blazers. Winless on the season when they don't hit the 10 mark in threes, Burkhart. Stunning, I know.
Yeah, live by it, die by it, right?
Gosh, that's the most frustrating part about the team is just how they're not multidimensional. They need to make shots, especially from downtown, if they're going to win games. They're not manufacturing wins with defense or with aggressiveness or manufacturing points. That's just not how they operate.
But that is where this gets frustrating, right? And this is where you want something to happen trade-wise when it comes to moving pieces and taking a risk, because not playing defense and living and dying by your three-point shot, is that not the same Blazer team that we've covered for the last decade?
Yes, that's exactly who we've covered. Oh, my goodness. Which really makes that run to the Western Conference Finals even more remarkable based on the level at which Dame was playing and what you were getting from CJ and some of the ancillary pieces for them to get as far as they did.
CJ was at an all-time high. Ennis was phenomenal for that run. Got great minutes out of fresh legs. Rodney Hood single-handedly won you the 4 overtime game there in 4th overtime. But that was a fun team. But still, yeah, it makes it a little more miraculous because they all stayed hot.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest takeaway tonight is that you look at it and you're like, okay, they're a long ways away from being a legit contender. From the cream of the crop in the NBA. Let's see here. Portland right now. I mean, this is classic Portland right now. They're 5th in the league, 5th in the NBA in offensive rating, 27th in defensive rating. That's it. That's what they are.
That's why when you look to the possibility of trades and you look at like the idea of Vanderbilt and people get upset, right? They're like, oh, well, he's not great offensively. Offense is not this team's problem. Offense is not this team's problem. They need defense. They need length. They need people to go in there and rebound. Tonight, Chad, and yes, Yusuf Nurkic was not in, but you should still be able to have guys who go in there and do some dirty work. They had 1 offensive rebound for the entire game.
I think Travis said that is a franchise low.
Franchise, I think, was tying low. But either way, isn't that ridiculous? 1 offensive rebound, and they were almost doubled up in total rebounds.
Do you know who grabbed it?
Without cheating, Sharp.
Yep. Oh, speaking of that, let's step into the coach's corner. We want to hear. I want to hear Billups lob Nasir Little under the bus. Let's take a listen.
let's do it. If I can, you know how we pick on.
Don't go Preston on me right now.
No, I'm not going Preston. I just forgot to pod the volume up. It's on me. I'm sorry.
No, hold on for a second. This is what happened the other night. I want to play. I got to get the music right.
He's gonna.
No. This is what happened. So I was listening to. Let's see if I can find it. I love giving Preston a hard time because he hates it, but it's true. So I came out right at the top of the show and I played music that I love. I was feeling very sensual, so I thought I'm going to go with Sade to kick off game day. All right, let's go ahead and step into the coach's corner.
It's time for the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups on Blazers Game Day, presented by Henderson & Daughter. Henderson & Daughter has been supplying superior design service, quality windows, entry doors, patio doors, and window installation to the Portland and Southwest Washington area since 1977. Before you decide to just replace your current windows or exterior doors, have our designers present you with a free in-home design consultation and estimate to show you the different styles we carry that can give your home a fresh new look. Henderson & Daughter, your window and door experts.
All right, if you're wondering why Nasir Little hasn't gotten more time in the rotation, Coach Billups paints a pretty clear picture for you. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, I thought we played hard, you know. That's a big team, you know, from top to bottom. But I thought we played hard, and, you know, I wanted us to get up and down and shoot 40-some threes today, you know. They usually kind of play in a little bit of a drop coverage. They kind of came up on the ball early in the game, but we still were able to, you know, get threes and get shots, you know, and just couldn't really make. But I thought that was going to be our opportunity in this game, you know, was to be able to get up and down. They try to force you in the mid-range shots. And when we played them the first time, I think 40% of our, like, pick-and-roll shots were mid-range. And I said, we can't beat this team that way. You know, we got to work harder for threes or layups. And I thought for the most part we did, and just couldn't make, man.
On the three-point shooting, Nasir Little was a guy a couple weeks ago who's starting to really show it. But what does he have to do to get on the floor a little bit more?
He just got to kind of be consistent, you know. Nas is a guy who we all know can really shoot it, you know. He's been very inconsistent, and when he came back, he was obviously making shots, you know, and things I talk with Nas about is just so many missed assignments defensively. And I just always have felt like when you're a reserve and when you're coming off of the bench, your margin of error is really small. You know, you got to kind of do most things right. You know, and that's the only way you earn more, you know, because you are a reserve. And some nights, you know, Nas does a really good job, and some nights he struggles. It just is what it is. Nas is still a very young player. But, it's, you know, it's not always, even for all of our younger guys, it's not the shot making that's always going to keep you on the floor. It's all the other things.
What do they do that makes it so difficult?
made it so difficult for you guys to get good looks?
Well, they do a really good job of not letting you score at the basket. And Brooke is probably the best in the league at protecting the rim. He's been for, 5 or 6 years. And they also, Drew is maybe the best guard in the league in guarding the ball, guarding pick and roll. So even when you set that screen really high, he sheds that screen, and he's right there for kind of a rear view contest to keep you uncomfortable on the shot, which now pushes you inside the three-point line where they want you at. And they just do a really good job of that, They've been really good at it. They made some adjustments to their defense this year, to be honest with you, but they used to give up like the most threes in the league because of that drop coverage. Not this year. I got to give them a ton of credit. Bud has done a really good job, but they're still a really dominant defense, but they're not giving up as many threes, so you got to work even harder to get those looks.
Chauncey, you guys didn't shoot your first couple of free throws until 2 seconds left in the first half. How much harder does it make that to come back from a deficit like you guys had?
Well, it's really hard to do, especially when you got a team as good as that. As you want to try to get on the free throw line and slow them down so you can set your defense. But, we knew that it was going to be a tough night tonight. It was only 2 referees. A lot of things kind of can slide through when it's only 2 guys out there. They can't see everything. So you try to take that into consideration when you're all over them. It's a tough job for them. So that hurt. That was pretty bad. But we kept going. We kept going. I thought in the second half we did a much better job of just attacking the rim. And as you see, we end up with 29 free throws. But it was an uphill climb all night, man.
Chauncey, on the road trip, particularly when you guys got going offensively in those games, a lot of it was either Dame or Ant and the high horns, pick and rolls, bringing 2 up high, even when Chicago blitzed hard. Why not go to something like that against Milwaukee in general? Is it just because of how high they'll bring their defense out and broke on the back?
Yeah, we went to it. Yeah, we went to it. They did a pretty good job. They trapped it a little bit. They showed really high up the floor, try to get the ball out of either Dame or Ant's hands. And they played it good. You give them credit. They played it good. We got it to the pocket a few times on it. And, didn't make the proper read on it. But we definitely, it's a play that we really like. And we tried it. They did a good job on it.
All right, there's Coach Billups. Were you surprised that he was as critical of Nasir?
Yes. I hate that answer. I don't buy it.
Well, explain why, because you gave me a reason why earlier.
Okay, here's the thing. When he says, when you're coming off the bench, you're expected to do a lot more with that minutes, and you got to do this, you got to do that, and the shot's not falling. First off, Josh Hart, as I posted on YouTube, he can't hit the ocean standing on the beach right now, but he doesn't have a short leash, right? But when go back to when I was playing sports competitively, right? I hated when that was the coach's approach, where you have a short leash and, you did one thing wrong, now I'm going to pull you, and you never have a chance to get in a groove. And everybody knows that basketball is about finding that groove and getting in that groove and finding those hot streaks, right? So, taking away from Nasir when he does a few things bad rather than rewarding him for doing things good is backwards to me. And I said this with you last game, too, with Watford losing minutes. If you lose spot in the rotation, Chad, it should be because somebody behind you outplayed you and earned that rotation spot. It shouldn't be because you didn't do all the things that coach asked you to do and you made a couple hiccups and now you took steps backwards in his eyes. Especially for a guy like Nasir, who has struggled to be on the court at times through his injuries. Getting on the court, getting those minutes, and letting the coach know that you can do it and gaining that coach's trust is paramount to his success. So how do you find that groove if you constantly have in the back of your mind one little mistake is going to have coach put me on the bench. It's very similar to how Terry Stotts used Myers Leonard, right?
Yeah.
Myers Leonard, and I'm not defending him as a basketball player. He wasn't that good, right?
You love
But-
Myers like Godfather.
Yeah, absolutely, right? But Myers Leonard had no leash at all. If he went in there, missed the three, Stotts pulled him. But
Yeah.
at the exact same time, Al Farouk Aminu could go 0 for 10 and had a green light from anywhere on the court.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I got a great tweet from Jennifer. Jennifer Delzer reached out and said, Chad, it is so fun to watch high-flying offense, but it is awe-inspiring to watch elite defense. I hope to watch it with the Blazers again someday. Bingo. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Who were the two teams last year in the finals? It was Boston and Golden State. So you had like the two best defensive teams in the NBA going head-to-head for the championship. I mean, you can't get around it. You've got to be able to play elite defense like we saw from Milwaukee tonight. Like Milwaukee, for example. They can go out on a night, and if they're struggling to hit shots and they go through a 4 or 5 minute stretch where they can't make a field goal, you know what they do? They lock it down defensively, and they will find ways to create opportunities in transition, get easier buckets to get to the foul line.
Yeah.
They'll do it with their defense.
Absolutely. And Travis kind of hit the nail on the head there post game when he's like, you know, they have Wesley Matthews, who's still good defensively. They have Pat Connaughton, who's better defensively than he was in the past. They have Carter, who's underrated defensively. They have Grayson Allen, who is good defensively. They have Brook Lopez, who is one of the best shot blockers in the league. Like, you just go down, we haven't even mentioned Drew Holiday yet, who's been one of the best defensive guards for the last handful of years. Like, that team is stacked on that side of the ball.
Stacked. But that's okay. You know, sometimes it's good to you get hit right between the eyes. It's like, okay, we got work to do. A lot of work to do. Trade deadline coming up on Thursday at noon. Let's keep things rolling here in the fifth quarter. Next broadcast will come up on Wednesday. Warriors are in town, 7 o'clock tip with game day starting at 4:30. Chris Burkhardt and Chad doing with you. You've got the fifth quarter.
The fifth quarter poster play of the night is brought to you by Collection Connection, the leaders in framing sports memorabilia, team awards, and so much more. Collection Connection offers you a one-stop, full-service framing experience. Find them online at COLLCONN.com.
Dame gives it up to Eubanks to the rim, hammers it down in front of Ingles. Oh, baby, put him into the vault.
$127-108, your final bucks to get the win over the Trailblazers. And now we wait. Warriors in town on Wednesday. I mean, think about how much things are going to change over the next few days with the deadline coming up on Thursday, Burkhardt. Because you know something's going to go down. It's just a matter of who and when. Who is it going to be? Who do you think the first Blazer out will be? Hart? Probably. Somebody else?
No, I'm gonna throw it out there. I think Keon might be the first one to fall, and Hart goes a little bit closer at the deadline as they really, really look for the deal.
One of my prayers right now is that they're able to acquire Vanderbilt for Keon and a couple of second-round picks. I'd love that. Here's Keon. Here's a couple of second-round picks. Give us that 4/5 that we can put in there, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And now I'm not so sure. I thought all along that once Hart's gone that Nasir might slide into the 3 spot. I don't think so anymore after tonight's post-game presser from Coach.
Not if it's in that doghouse.
They get Vanderbilt. I think they'll slide Vandy right in there. Or Vando, as some of the people call him.
Vando.
Put Vando in there.
The Vandalorian.
I also like, too, like he plays some small ball 5. I mean, heck, the Blazers feel like it's a Christmas morning. If they get a guy with that type of length, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't at all.
And I'm ready for Nurk to be gone. I'm ready. Now is the time. If they can make that happen by Thursday, that's great.
Yeah, I think the situation with Nurk is like
he needs a change too. I think.
I think he does. But if they can, I mean, you're not in an awful spot or upset if he's around. Really, I think you can win with him. But he's just you got to just deal with the roller coaster. I think it's time to move on myself and just kind of figure out what you can do and get some other pieces in there for him because I just don't know if he's the guy. And everyone talks about, this and that, and he could still do this. The dude's, 29, 30 years old? Like, he's been here for, over half a decade now. Like, he is who he is. He's not going to change.
He is who he is. After 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, players don't change overnight. You know who they are, and the numbers tell a story. We know what Nurk is now. He's a middle-of-the-road center in the NBA, starting quality. He's going to give you 14 points, 9 boards. He'll shoot about 50% from the floor. And as you pointed out before, it's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Big highs, big lows. That's what he is.
Yep. That's the unfortunate part because that all Portland needs out of that position right now is just consistency. That's all they need. A little bit of consistency. And they're just not getting it because he is so up and down. And even, like I said, you look at someone like a Jakob Poeltl. Like, Poeltl is not as good offensively. He lacks consistency on that side of the ball. But defensively, there's no change in his game. He's good on that end of the ball every single night, as where Nurk's not on either side of the ball. So that's the tough part. And you guys know me. You know me. Everyone listening knows me. I am a Nurk defender. I like Yusuf Nurkic a lot. I just think it's time to cut bait and see what you can get.
All right, I think that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to all of you for listening tonight. We appreciate it. For all of those who joined us on the YouTube chat, remember, we live stream every fifth quarter, and you can join us. Just go to youtube.com, pull up the homepage, Rip City Radio, and you'll see the live link right there. We'll be back on Wednesday night following the game against the Warriors. Tomorrow, Rip City Mornings with Justin Myers at 6. Dwight and I will kick off the Rip City Drive at 3. Your final score from Moda Center tonight, the Milwaukee Bucks 127. Your Portland Trailblazers 108. For Chris Burkhardt, I'm Chad Doing. Have a good night, my friends.
Yes!
And